You're such an asshole.
Oh, it's Friday, and Cappy might actually be able to enter the weekend with no outstanding requests. So I think there's only 3 of them today. And we're going to start off. I probably should have saved this for later because I'm a little croggy. Because this is not a light one. This is a deep thought, which I like. I appreciate the more deep and philosophical ones because it's interesting. I say I major in mechanical engineering or chemical engineering. What should I do? Obi-Wan Cappy, decide for me. Those get kind of tiring. I'll take your money. I will. But it just makes for better entertainment and show, not to mention my mental health when I get a good question like this. Cappy, I'm a boomer, born 1960, but a good one, who didn't lie to my kids or anyone younger in my life. But even though I'm older than you, I consume nearly everything you produce. You're ahead of your time. Oh, not ahead of my time. I did a whole thing about being ahead of, unless you're lampooning me. I see you never want to be ahead of your time. For those of you, you don't have to go through the archives. You don't want to be ahead of your time because that means you didn't make the money when you were alive. Nikola Tesla, he was ahead of his time. Yeah, he died poor. You don't want to. No. I want my time now. I don't want people in the future. Hey, you know, that guy was kind of right. If he was alive, we'd give him lots of money. No. I don't want to be ahead of my time. Oh. Like 5-6 years ahead of your time, then you make the money. But you don't want to be 100 years ahead of your time and say, oh, this guy was a genius. Yeah, now the financial markets would have invested multiple billions of dollars with him, and he'd be a billionaire. No. Heck, even look at Tesla Corporation, even though it's using his name. You know, there's a company named after him. What good is it doing Nikolai now? You're ahead of your time. I end up laughing as you so often predict disasters that have happened to many of my friends. It's not that hard. You're boomers. That's but today I have a philosophical question for you. One of your more glib observations or statements is that you do not care whether women want men or not. All that matters is what actions they have taken and put forth in the real world. Whether they cry themselves to sleep at night desperately wanting a man in their lives is irrelevant, as it is a removed phenomenon that nobody sees as like a tree falling in the woods for no one to hear. See, I like this one. And though I appreciate this removed and cold indifference, what do you believe is the reality? Given your video on alcoholism increasing among young women, I have to think at least some women would like nothing more than have a traditional life or be a stay-at-home mom. But if you watch the Fresh and Fit video where you guys interviewed those girls, they had a deadness in their eyes that I could be equally convinced they really could do without men. Let me know how much for your thoughts, Jerry. I was like, oh boy. So I had to take some notes here. And so the question is, deep down in their heart of hearts, late at night, 3 bottles of wine in, after the Uber drops them off and they're carrying their shoes all drunk. Is that even a thing anymore? Do people even do that? I don't know. Do these women with their master's degrees go home and cry themselves to sleep? And it's impossible to figure it out. I don't think they do studies. I've heard anecdotes, and we can look at different types of empirical data that correlates with that, but I'll just tell you right now, I don't know. Right? So I'll go through what notes I do have. I will say it's unnatural. I will say that kind of like the internet, where now the technology has been advancing so quickly, humans are having a hard time to adapt to it. So like we've never had so much screen time. We've never been indoors so much. And so that's throwing things off psychologically for all humans. But this recent phenomenon, we're frankly, I'm simplifying it a lot, where society tells women they don't need men, shame women into thinking that they should want a man, at minimum reprioritizing their lives, that men, each other, we no longer come first to each other, but it's their career and themselves, the self-love. That's new. And I don't think the human brain has adapted to it, male or female. And I also think it's not only intellectually hypocritical, but it's void of any humanity. You guys know I am pro-love. Like the number one thing in life is other people. because that's the only thing that's an advanced, infinite concept. It's chaotic. I don't know what my little nieces are going to do next. And that's what makes them so lovable. It's like, oh, one time I'll tell you a story. This is an action flick. Ken had kidnapped Barbie and Ilsa because they were playing on their thing. Little dollhouse. And one of the dolls, Barbie or Ilsa, I don't know which one, was tied up. And I said, why is Barbie or that one tied up? And they say, oh, Ken has kidnapped Barbie and Elsa, but it's okay because Batman is coming to save them. Someone got him a Batman. It's a pretty cool Batman action toy. Actually, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Cape, everything. It's like, what? How? Dude, you're going to tell me your master's degree in sociology or criminology or law school is more important than, oh, why did Ken kidnap Barbie and Elsa? I'm curious. I hope Batman saves them. They're making their Legos, and to think that you, in the form of whatever activities you do for you, career, education, making money, which aren't inherently bad things. Everyone should do it. But to place that, just basically the way you get this medium of exchange called money so that you could go and live your life. But instead of taking that money where you sacrificed your life, 22 years in college and K through college education and decades in the career, that you never then go and spend that money on other people. I don't mean giving it to them, but allowing you to have the freedom to afford your life. You work to live, you don't live to work, so that you can go spend time with other people you love. That's wrong. I can tell you right there, that's only philosophically wrong. It's factually wrong. It's wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. And so at minimum, that's going to cause some conflict. So I think the premise of putting your education, your career, your politics ahead of, in a particular case we're talking here, your husband, and I would also add consequential children if you were to have any. That's wrong, and it is a guaranteed recipe for being miserable. One of the more cold and callous things I've ever heard. I have a buddy doing some research for me, and he read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And she was citing all these studies that showed that, well, kids don't really need their mothers when they're growing up. They need their fathers more. And like, I don't care what that study says, it's wrong. Because I can find a study that says the complete opposite. Hey, here's some common sense. How about you raise your effing kids? Maybe their kids would like to have their mother around. And it's just kind of this, wow, man, you're choosing work over here. Those kids aren't going to be kids anymore. And by the way, you don't have it till they're 18. I've seen other little kids. I had them. They were like my little soldiers. Like, they'd do anything I'd say. Like, hey, let's go climb that tree. Or, hey, all you had to do is bribe them with ice cream adventure, go to the park. But then by about the age of 11 or 12, especially if they're girls, they don't want nothing to do with you no more. They got to watch the Cardi B and the WAP, at 12 or 11, because that's right. And their friends and especially when the internet phones came out. Those old internet phones, when they came out back in the 2005s, they're gone. So you don't get till 18. You get to like 11 or 12. And even, we're not talking your parents. You could even be a cool Uncle Cappy. I'm sure this guy knows because he's older than me. He probably had nieces and nephews. They're leaving. No, I'm watching YouTube. Hey, do you want to go play and go get ice cream? Like, you want to go to the confectionery place where I normally shot you kids up like heroin with sugar instead, and then I drop you off at your parents' place? No, we're watching YouTube. Oh. So, all those kids, you don't want to raise your kids Because, like, that's a chore, right? I just look, I know you got to spank them too and discipline them. I know it's not all you got to change diapers. It's a huge responsibility. And I don't raise kids, but I spend time with them. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? You don't like these things. What? These are great. They're so easy. Hey, for 50 cents, you can go get some a day-old Wonder Bread at the gas station, and then you go feed fish. It is a fish bite. Oh, get that. And you feed ducks. Make paper airplanes. They think you're God. They're having a grand old time. And maybe it was born to you as an adult. You were excited when you were a kid. You can't, because the novelty has worn off. I'm sure adults, I'm going to go feed the ducks. But watching the kids have that experience, it's like that's like wonderful. and not most, all women in the West are at least attempted at to condition them that is not the most important thing in life. That they and their various individual self-serving pursuits, career, education, politics is another one. That is their new God. That is the point and purpose in life. And what I have seen, just my observations anecdotally, no way to empirically prove this. I'll give you a more structured thought here. My observation is that I think I'm under the impression they think they have all the time in the world to get a husband and a children. And if things don't, the conditioning it took. And I think the general position of women, at least stated, is, oh yeah, I want to get married and have kids, but only under these particular circumstances and conditions. And it is usually, especially the younger, can't speak to older, secondary to them having their career and education and life squared away. They want that not only started and invested in they want it squared away. They want it cemented and solidified. And then and only then at 34, 35 will they then go and look to get married. So that's generally what I see. But this does not speak as to whether they're crying themselves to sleep at night. I don't think so. So, all right, let's take, we'll call it, it's basically this. Here's what, as with any population, I can't say all women, because there's, 150 million American women, 5 billion on the planet, however many. So there's going to be all different types. I can't make a blanket statement. So there's different types. But whether they really want men or not, I think is a function, among other things, of how well the indoctrination took. And this could be a function of age. Like your generation, the women are more traditional. My mom, I was shocked. She was like appalled. Like, why would women stand you up? I'm like, I don't know. You got any ideas? This is when I was young and stupid. I asked my mom on that advice because she's a woman. She must know. She's like, we would never do that in the olden days. Now it's standard. So I can see where older women who never went through K through 12, say 80s or post 80s, had this indoctrination. Certainly not the media. I remember when Leave It to Beaver they brought it back in the 80s with some of the original actors. Family Ties, the Cosby Show, Nuclear Family. So it was there. So I could see if you never had this indoctrination, wasn't shoved at you, okay, the only ones who would have, in the boomer generation of women who are not crying themselves to sleep, would have been the ones who swallowed the 60s feminist boomer women indoctrination whole. The Gloria Steinem's, the other gal, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. And they were rare. I ran into them occasionally, and those women were not happy. Now, I don't think they were crying themselves to sleep either. I mean, it was an all-consuming, and one woman in particular, I remember, like, wow, you are ruining your family and your children, not to mention your life over this stupid. It's like, yeah, okay, lady, we got it. You were born with a hoo-ha. What do you want, a parade? There's going to be a lot of parades then if we got to do a parade for each person born with a hoo-ha. Just be all parades all the time. But it could also be now a function of age where, all right, I'm kind of curious. I'm tired. I don't want to do any more research on like polling data. Like when you poll, what do young women between, I guess, 14 and 24, pubescent girl, but young. Yeah, and I'm not that you'd get married at 14. Just what do young little girls think? Okay, you've recognized boys. What do you think? I don't want to go and get the polling data, but if they've been going to school today, they're still in school. I would assume by the time they come out of school and they got their education and they are in their mid-20s, let's just say, or late 20s, I think a higher percentage of them would also not be crying themselves to sleep. The indoctrination increased, so the percentage of women, young women, that it was effective upon, that also increased. And so it would not surprise me if, as a function of youth, a higher percentage of women are not crying themselves to sleep and really don't want a man. Right? Keeping in mind, in the background, by the way, you look at any polling, what are women's priorities? Depends on age. Usually it's career, education, getting themselves stable, which I'm not against, actually. Like when you're very young, like, yeah, you got to get stabilized. You got to get something going on. You're not going to find your husband right away. Me and Adam Piggott have a great debate. It's like, why are you telling women to go into STEM? I'm like, what are you supposed to do? Stay at home and twiddle their thumbs? So I understand you gotta go do something, but usually marriage is ranked by getting a dog, after religion, and so I want to get married and have kids. It's like a policy, but it never bubbles to the top. It never gets there. And so I don't know if they sit and think like, if I don't get this, like if they didn't see, like on that interview with Fresh and Fit, none of those gals seemed like they were gonna break down and cry if they didn't find a guy. But is that because they've thought about like, I don't really want it, or they're just so busy chasing their own tail, they didn't have time to sit and think like, oh crap, I didn't find a man, and I'm never gonna have children. So, my point being that. Whereas stated, generally, most women do want to get married and do want to have kids, whether that's mission critical in their lives, that depends also how well the brainwashing took. And I would say the younger women are, the more brainwashing and the higher percentage it took. And therefore, a higher percentage of women functionally, well, not only but do not really need a man and may not even want one. I mean, you could always, hey, do you want an ice cream? Yeah. Who doesn't want an ice cream? But my life will go on without it. Aaron, do you want a wiener dog? Yeah, kind of do. Maybe a pug and a French bulldog. World's ugliest, smallest, most worthless dogs. They're great. They're just ugly. They don't do anything productive. They try. Would I live without it? Yeah. But is it, that's what I'm trying to point out with this is in their minds, they think it's mission critical. Regardless, I think if I had younger gals, half of them don't really want a man enough that it would be a priority in their life would ever bubble to the top. So I think, especially the young, they're not crying themselves to sleep. They might be frustrated. They might say, gee, it would be nice to have a man, but I don't see them crying themselves to sleep. Then we go into other gals who really desperately do want nothing more than to get married and have children. They would love nothing more than to be a stay-at-home mom. But again, if that would have been perfectly acceptable if you were a boomer. But now you are ostracized and villainized and called a traitor to the sisterhood. How dare you? You think you're special, the crabs in the bucket type of thing. Oh, it must be nice. We can't all be fortunate enough like you. Well, yeah, you could have lost some weight, not gone in a ton of student loan debt, actually, be nice and showed up on time. And there are several guys there that would have committed to you, and you just would have had to do without, not have that big ass SUV. By the way, I have a book out there called Poor Richard's Retirement. You could still all live off of one income. It's still very possible. But the vitriol, hey, must be nice to think. And you can even say, well, wait a minute, does that kind of prove they wanted a guy and to be a stay-at-home? Well, Yeah, and there's some polling where, what was it, 70% of the women decided, oh yeah, I guess it would be nice to be a stay-at-home mom with kids. Well, okay, it's moot and academic now, Miss 48-year-old. But I do believe there is a significant percentage, certainly not the majority, not even a plurality, but there, I would estimate somewhere around 10 to 25%, maybe a quarter of girls, that's all they wanted desperately so, is to get married and have kids, be the stay-at-home wife, have the husband take care of them, cook, become a grandma, have a little grandchildren, cook for little brats there. I would say that's about 10 to a quarter. But you will never hear it or see it because that feminist sisterhood beehive, it's not the right word. It's not a beehive. That concentration camp, the mental concentration camp of feminism, where no woman is allowed to leave, and you'll get shot if you dare just fess up that you want to get married and have kids. That's unfortunately what keeps a lot of them from ever expressing their true interests. And since everyone wants to join and get along, go along to get along. Oh yeah, man, yeah, I don't like them. No, oh yeah, oh patriarchy, yeah, yeah, no, I don't want. Oh no, I also want to get my master's degree in social work to go raise other people's kids that aren't mine. Yes. I too want, I wish that in my life, yes. Why would I want to stay at home raising my own blood and my own flesh and hugging and doing, and no, I don't want to fall over with a man. Oh yeah, kicky, gross. So there's a certain percentage there, I would say, but it's impossible to know. And I've seen them. You see some sunlight get through the cracks. I've had several young ladies. They're all young. That's the other thing, young. And not from traditional Western backgrounds. Either directly out of a foreign country or parents were foreign, and they're the first generation born American. But I've had some young gals, 18, 19, 20, not even drinking age. Cappy, how do I find a man? And then you got a problem because you're like, well, crap, you told all the men you didn't want them. Not you, I know, but team woman told team man, we don't want you. We're busy, career, this, that. And then these guys are like, okay, well, I guess I'll go to college anyway or trade school or whatever. And I'll go about my. So there's no guys that young even looking for wives because they've gotten the message loud and clear that no women want to get married at that point in time. And so these otherwise traditional but significantly younger women, they face this problem, not even a paradox. It's like, well, I want to get married now and have kids, and then after I have my kids, then I want to become a doctor, an engineer, or whatever. And I'm like, I like, do you like 40-year-olds? Because I don't know any young guy 30 or younger. I mean, like, then they got to go into the millennial and Gen Z pool of men to find a stable, financially supporting husband who can support a family. I'm like, do you like guys with gray hair? Because I think those are about the only ones right now, I think. And they're like, no, I'm just not attracted to guys who are, older. And it's somewhat hurting and insulting. Oh, no, he's got to be under 30. I'm like, what's wrong with 40? What? So there's that other group of gals. So, depending on when they were born, how much indoctrination they got, what the degree is, you could kind of read it. How much partying did they do? Roughly, how many girls are absolutely feminist purists and do not cry themselves asleep because the indoctrination took and has changed their brain. Okay, epigenetics, I believe it's called, where like it overrides their genetic programming and they really do not want a man or get married. So I believe there's some out there. The percent of that, 10, 15, okay? Then you have the gals that desperately want to get married and have a husband, but they can't say it because otherwise women come crashing down on them and ostracize them socially. 15 to 20. And then the majority, I would say, are in this gray area where they're constantly conflicted between what feminism and society and school and indoctrination and the media and the Democrats are telling them versus what their genetic biology is screaming at them. And so then you have kind of a balking strategy or a balking approach, which we kind of saw on those girls with Fresh and Fit, where, yeah, every one of them wanted to get married, but ain't none of them putting the effort into it. And when I asked them where it was ranked, it was below the dogs and her and this and that. The other gal, she was 29. Oh, I have to get my education in hotel management and that. And I'm like, well, what were you doing for 11 years? And the other one, she was quite successful. The other gal was. And she's like, oh, no, I'm coming first. Although she had some legitimate reasons. She had just gotten out of a relationship. She's like, I got to work on myself. It's like, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. But she was 38. And so it's kind of this, this is where I know you think it's cheap and glib, but it's real because that's what you have to deal with. It's what every guy has to deal with. It doesn't matter that they're crying themselves to sleep or not. What actions are they taking in the real world? And that's why I always say it's academic, it's interesting, it's philosophical, but it's theoretical. It's not practical. Most girls, by action, effectively do not want to get married. I could say that with near 100% confidence until we got polling data that, in the hearts of hearts, most women effectively, based on their actions, are trying to communicate a very clear statement to you boys, and that is they do not wish to have at least, let me qualify this, they do not wish to have a traditional relationship where they are married and they are raising children. That is very clear. Some of them, as a statement of policy, sure, would I like a chocolate ice cream with sprinkles, or as they say in New Jersey, Jimmy's on top with a maraschino cherry? Of course. But it's not going to come at the expense of my career, my master's degree, and this and that. And so some of those, yes, on the state of it, the statement they would like to have children, they would like to have husbands, but they're effectively not going to put any effort or action into it. And therefore, it doesn't matter what they're doing, crying themselves to sleep at night or not, what they do deep in the heart and what lurks deep in the heart of women's hearts. Doesn't matter. She went and got, let's say, give you an example. Let's say you're just as cute as a button, nice little girl, you're fresh out of high school, and all you wanted to do is get married and have a brood of children, an army, 8 children. But you succumb to peer pressure, and instead of doing heroin, which would be a better thing to do anyway, you go out and get your master's degree in social work. And you go $125,000 into debt for it. Now, no matter what you wanted, you have $120,000 in debt for a degree that's pretty worthless. You are now a financial liability. That girl financially cannot get married. That girl, I mean, anyone can get married, of course. But people are going to be like, 125 grand, guys, anyway. So I know I'm trying to be cheeky and, well, it doesn't matter. Look how cold and callous I am. It does matter. And that's all that matters is actions in the real world. But then for an academic theoretical, do women deep down inside really want men on a genetic, biological, Darwinistic level? Absolutely yes, right? Because that's the way they've been programmed. And men want women just the same. There are, I'd say, in the minority of instances, epigenetics or your environment conditions you so much. Like, for example, I never wanted kids. I knew that at 3. I never wanted kids. That goes against all genetic evolution and programming. But it was such a bad existence that at a very young age, I'm like, no. And I don't have this deep down pining. So I believe there is a percentage, maybe not big, but significant in there, of women that really do not want men, right? For the remaining 85, 90% of women, they do at some level, but they have now taken action that makes it academic and move. I would only say maybe 20 to 25% of women are crying themselves to sleep. Right? That's the so women do want men. It's to what level? To the point that you're going to have a functional, healthy nuclear marriage, family relationship, a happy marriage, or is it check mark, which I say is about 65 to 80% of the gals, where it's just another to-do list on their career item. Got husband, okay. And you can see that's how much even after the great boomer divorce Olympics, people are still getting divorced at 50%. Like, what, did we learn anything? What? And then there's the gals that deep down inside, that's all they want. Maybe they're crying themselves to sleep. But the point is that there, no doubt, what we are telling young girls and boys, by the way, if you want, we can talk about how we brainwash boys differently. But what we are telling young girls is going headlong versus what 2 million years of human evolution and genetics and biology are screaming at them. And at minimum, it will cause them some frustration, some cognitive dissonance. If they, again, how much the indoctrination took, some like, yeah, I'd like to, and maybe like, God, I'd really like to find a guy. And I think that's where the gals that were on the interview, and most of the gals, young gals today under 35, that's where most of them fit. But then for some gals who they're honest with themselves, the indoctrination didn't take, or they just have that huge biological compunction. They want to get married. They want to have children. I think those might be the ones that cry themselves to sleep. And they do not only desperately want men and like men, they want to get married, and they might even go so far as to take the actions to do so, staying thin, having the intellectual independent thought like these young gals did at a surprisingly young age to say, I want to get married and have kids, you know, and then I'll go become an engineer. And my plan is to get my degree by the age of 30. It's like, wow, that's some time management planning there. It's very mature, very foresightful. But yes, generally speaking, women do like men. Women do want men. Slight, they do want them. That's how they're programmed. But how much? That's a function of how much they swallowed the Kool-Aid, how much they valued themselves, whether there was a father around, and how strong the biological desire to get married and actually have kids is. So, and then one final thing, just to show you that there is a conflict and there is a price. Not that we're cheering on, yay, women miserable. I'm not pointing that out. I am pointing out that there is, this is proof that women do want men to some extent. And there's a couple things I pulled up. And I'm sure there's more. We can look at it from a different angle, but this is where you take some outside of the topic in question. You say, oh, but that indicates this about this topic we're having a conversation about. You look at happiness studies, women are becoming more and more miserable. All right, that's a fact. No, I'm no philosopher or economist, but I would imagine when you used to just be able to raise kids and be a doting, loving wife and maybe make some food every once in a while, to now going $200,000 in debt, to commuting, to paying taxes, to making $70,000 a year, which you never hope to get out of your student loan debt, while you are inculcated with feminist indoctrinated thought that men are bad and they're the competitor. I don't know why you're not happy. Why is happiness going down? No clue. So you got that. Rollo's got a great chart. I'm too lazy to go look it up. And it was showing antidepressant use among different types of women over age. And middle-aged white women just skyrockets. Holy cow. It's going up for all women. But I would say when we talk about the Black community and poverty, we talk, or the welfare state, we usually talk about the Black community being the canary furthest down the mine shaft. White women, middle age, are furthest down this feminist mine shaft as a economic, ideological alternative to reality. Like, okay, how well that you? Okay, yeah, okay, got it. You didn't need no man. Your career is more important. We got it. But again, that is going against your genetic human hardwiring. And so that antidepressant use I think, is indicative of that there is a pain. They are depressed. They are depressed. And I asked the question. I think I had to take it down because it was too controversial. I say, how's Ward Cleaver looking now? These gals are complaining about all these boys, which they created through socialist policies. Let's vote for more free stuff. Why are the boys so soft and don't have jobs? Why do they all play video games? Hey, maybe cut off the welfare and the stimmy checks. Not the topic here, though. It's like, yeah, do you want? Yeah, I bet you would be happy with Ward Cleaver. The guy we were making fun of in the 80s? What do you think I am, June? Oh, what are you, Ward? Oh, God. Oh, what a square. How Neanderthalic. Yeah, because I think it was an architect, but then he was kind of like a mid-level executive. He supported the family, he stayed in shape, wore a nice suit, and he always helped raise the boys and he invested in his kids. Oh, how foolish. Oh, my goodness. Patriarchy. OMG. Am I right, sister? So, yeah, I bet you Ward Cleaver would be a cure for depression among women. But here's another. We'll get on to the third. But you do realize humans, not just women, men, they're like trees. It takes a while for them to grow. And when you've raised a generation of men, we could take the millennials because they're mid-30s now, or Gen Z, 20s, all right? 2 to 3, almost 4 decades. You've raised them with a certain type of soil, a certain type of watering, a certain type of fertilizer, or a certain type of environment. That tree is going to become whatever that tree is going to become. Maple, elk, elm, oak, hickory, pine, right? And you're saying you've told men you didn't need them for all this time. You told them Ward Cleaver was a square and oppressive. So all these guys went and I don't know what became the result of socialistically raised children by kids raised by teachers, essentially. And they just become a bunch of yes men and they don't hit the gym. And so you got these weak, sappy trees that no girl wants to harvest. They're like, where have all the good men gone? It's like, you can't just flip a switch and turn an elm into an oak. You can't this is the generation of guys you got. These are your guys. This is what you brought up. This is what you groomed and cultivated. Now you got to choose them, unless you're willing to go to a significantly older age or a different culture, or maybe a younger culture, but it's pretty much the same way we raise the millennials and Gen Z boys. I wonder if their grip strength's going to go down. I wonder if they're going to have student loan debt. I wonder if they're going to play video games, and I wonder if they're going to watch porn and eat Cheetos. I wonder. And so you can't, now they're like, what can't I? It's like, there is none. What do you think? Do you think there'd be no consequence to this? You didn't raise the guys you wanted. And there are some guys, there's always a Bell distribution curve. There are some guys who are true, good-looking, top 20, top 10% alpha guys. And guess what? They're not going to commit. They're having too much fun. Plus, he raised these guys, okay? They observed their dads getting divorced. They observed their brothers their buddies and brothers getting divorced. Like, wow, no, sir. No, sir. And there's no good guys. I understand this is where I'm somewhat sympathetic. Like, are there any good guys? And the girl said, no, there are no good guys. And I have other female friends, and they tell me nightmares of the guys. Just like sad, sappy. Like one guy, he's like, no, let me try that again. I had it memorized. It's like, you're memorizing what to say on a date? Yeah. Oh, wow. And so, yeah, it's bad selection for the ladies. I understand. But you did it to yourself. I can't, I don't know where the good guys are. Somewhere else, not here. And then the other one is alcoholism. Recently, I don't know, a day or two ago, someone sent me an article about the increase in liver disease and alcoholic-related diseases among women. I guess it's skyrocketing. Okay, they're self-medicating. So yes, generally speaking, women do want to get married and have kids. I don't think they're necessarily crying themselves to sleep over it. Yes, women do want men, but that is such a huge programming an indoctrinating force they've had to say they don't need them. It's causing conflict and it's causing pain. Depression, alcoholism, not being happy, stress. There was an article somewhere, I couldn't find it. They said that more women are entering menopause now earlier because of stress. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I couldn't find the article. Somebody has it, please let me know. But yes, women are unfortunately paying a price for this contradiction, for going against their biology. Men are too in different ways. They're getting fat, they're soy, they're not majoring in they're not men. They're depressed too, social anxiety disorder, that kind of thing. But yes, generally women do want men, and it's an internal battle as to whether or not they will ever act on that. And if then bringing back my point, if we're going to go by that measure, what percent of women have the intellectual courage, independent thinking, critical thinking, or desire to override their indoctrination programming and just admit that they want a guy and they're going to put him first and children are very important and all that? If we look at that, it is a very, very, very small percentage of women who are going to come forth and do that and override whatever indoctrination or social programming they may have gotten. And so once again, functionally, practically, we have to go back to my cold, callous analysis. My callous, I suffer from paralysis analysis. It's like, hey, punch you in the face now. Never say that again. But oh shit, I forgot what the phrase was I just uttered. I'm just thinking millennials. I suffer from paralysis analysis. But the percentage of women that are going to overcome that you then can actually function with in the real world, because that's the action they're taking, very minimal. Very minimal. And I would say less than 5%. I even got, and you say, well, that sounds pretty low. Get this book, the Book of Numbers. I talk about the percentages of marriages that are happy. 5 is probably too charitable. 5% is way too charitable. Do you know 1 in 20 women that like, yep, I want to get myself married and I want to have me some kids and I want to be the stay-at-home wife. I don't know 1 in 20 women that state that. And so this is a very interesting book. If you haven't gotten it, Book of Numbers, Analyzing the ROI and the Pursuit of Women. And it's not about this topic necessarily, but some of the numbers in there, because the numbers do kind of tell you what people's behaviors are, at least. Maybe not their beliefs, but their behaviors. And so, yeah, guys, going forward, I mean, this is why I even did a video why a lot of men should be prepared to never be married. A lot of women should be too. Because it's just not on the menu. So there you go. Yes, I do believe girls do like men and want men at some level. It's whether they like men enough and want men enough that it overrides their programming. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't matter. And so you have 2/3 at least of young women today kind of in that twilight zone of indecision. And they're tortured. And it's academic or moot, because I don't think they're ever going to give up that career or their ideology or their isms for you guys. All right, let's get to the super chats if there are any. Got a couple here. I love women's opinion too. The problem is I don't know if we can believe you girls, because we don't need you. Yeah, we got it. We heard that. I mean, maybe girls could tell me what percentage of their female friends cry themselves to sleep. And I don't know, but unfortunately, it's like, well, you guys are all lie to yourselves about what you want online. You're probably going to lie to us. Competent man, $10. Best thing my friend Roger did for his daughter was being around and taught her. Imagine that, guys, being a dad and investing in your children. He passed away in 2020 when she was 9, but credit him for her turning out well, because how he raised her, we miss him. Yeah, dads are not an option. You need fathers. M2PG4 for $2 sounds. Sound on your mic seems off, seems distant. Well, I could get a little closer. Don't be shy. Get a little closer with air extra dry. Hang on, let me try this. How's that? Is that better? I apologize. I threw this on another computer and then it reset itself with the firmware, and so I've been trying to dial it in. Wow. Okay, we're pretty cleared up on the super chats. Alex Patino, $5. But Cappy, didn't women want soft men in touch with their feelings? Yes. Yes, they did. I remember, Alex. I was there before your time. We need a sensitive 90s guy. Oh my gosh, they shoved that down our throats. Holy cow. Now they're available. They're not buying. What gives? Read Rhinestone's book, The Fuchs Files, Fucc Files. And Ryan delves in very deeply and philosophically and brilliantly explaining how essentially women in his particular case, but people in general, want to have their cake and eat it too. And don't that's what they were told to tell they wanted, right? The boomer women told the young women, you should tell the boys that you want sensitive, kind, and we want sensitive, kind, nice guys to listen to us. Okay. What are all these sensitive guys without jobs? Don't know. Don't care. Space Ghost. Kona Savage, $5. I honestly don't know the last time I met a woman who was in shape, dressed nice, and had a healthy mindset. Yeah, we could, Kona Savage, we could even use obesity as a proxy for what percent of women really care about men. Like it indicates like, okay, it indicates sanity to a certain extent. All right, I want to get a guy. If I'm going to get a guy, I better be in shape because men like physical attraction. So what percent of women even abide by that? We could be equally hypocritical or accusatory of men because an equal amount of men are obese. Women a little bit more obese depending on the age, but like 70% of young women, young people are overweight. So we could say 70% of they really are unconnected to the real world. And so they are going to suffer conflict. They're going to suffer cognitive dissonance. Oh, we lost Fred. You missed some from the earlier stream. From earlier in the stream. I'll pull it up. I'll take a break. I'll grab my soda. For $2. We'll get to the ones I missed. Don't worry. I just won't throw them up. Give me a minute to log in. The Competent Man, $10. Used to work as a lifeguard in 2000. Oh, man, you old as F. I didn't know Competent Man was that old. Man, wow. How much you got left to live? 2, 3 years? What did doc give you? Coworker in college. She was 20 and dating a policeman, etc. Looked her up. She only got married 2015 at 35. Guy looks like a simp from a wedding photo. What a surprise. Yeah, cops are cool. Girls want like, here's another example. Where do I find a good man? Cops are pretty good guys. Oh, I don't like cops. Ban the blue. All right. Never mind. You girls should date activists. I think activists are very sexy men. Very reliable. All right. Let me pull up the old super chat, so just bear with me for a minute. Okay, I'm back here. Let me pull them up. Where'd they go? Okay, the comment that was from last time. Oh, Don DeMarco. Is this the Don DeMarco that's always on Fresh and Fit, where they play the buzzer all the time? People need to read your books. They're awesome. Well, thanks, Don. I appreciate it. I thank you for the compliment over on Modern Life John's video that he did. I really appreciate you coming in and plugging me. John was plugging me too. I wish I could have been on the show, but I got my own stuff to do, as you see. Adriano Ramus, our Mauritian Australian agent in the fields. Congrats, your subs have climbed after been on Fresh and Fit. Yeah, it's guys helping guys out. That's all it is. That's all it is. From Adonis Zero Fuse, I wonder what taxes will be like when governments are faced with tons of older women in nursing homes in the future. Well, it's kind of what it is anyway, because men die before women. I don't know. The taxes are going to be horrific. They'll be horrific. Fred Freeman, solid $2. Sometimes they want us for a night. Always be ready. Well, they want you, Fred, because you're 6'5" and you're really good looking and you're in great shape. Fred Freeman says a Black Kitty super sticker. Thank you. Send tacos, $10 US. What do you think about a vasectomy? I'm 32, single, no kids. I don't want kids, but not sure if I ever change my mind in the future. Also, don't want to get any accident with one of my plates. Me, Atham, and Chad did a video on vasectomies because he got one. I had one. Chad hasn't because Chad's going to get something jacked. But I would say get it. You have to do it yourself. You're not going to have to do the vasectomy yourself. You're going to have to do the research yourself. Don't do your own vasectomy. Just some free advice there for all of you guys out there. I generally would, but do your research. The big fear mongering is, there's a 20% chance it can't be reversed if you ever want to have kids. Well, two things. One, go make a couple deposits at a sperm bank. And then two, they have tried to get sperm directly extracted from the boys down below, and they've succeeded. The one study they did, it took for like 2 guys, I don't know, out of 100, 85% got it on the first time, and then it went down exponentially after there. But then they got the last 2 guys on the 5th try. So you might have to go through 5 procedures to get sperm, but it won't be fun. But you won't. You won't. It's not like you'll never be able to have children again. Statistically speaking, you could if you really wanted to. Fred Freeman, solid $2. Some Christian girls still want a hubby. Don't write. I've had nothing but bad experiences with Christian girls, usually because they're using a religion as a faux value and agency in life. And because it's religion, a traditional religion, they usually can use that to weaponize the bedroom fun time. What? Oh, no, I can't. You're not a good Christian. I'm a good Christian. Meanwhile, they're banging Kevin in sales. The Competent Man, $10. Oh, here we are. Okay, so we did catch up. Let's go. Hey, guys, how's the audio now? Is the audio any better? 1 yes, 0 no. Where we go? Wisconsin Nomad, $2. Women want men as a status symbol to show they can. Yeah, some could be a significant percentage in that 2/3 gray area, but the percentage of gals that really do want to get married, I think they just want a husband. I think they're being human. Atham Eldecua for $1. I don't know what the super sticker is, but it's something like that. All right. Mike W, $5. Me, 39, her 26, and 8 and marriage-minded that wants kids. What do you think? I need more to go on than that, Mike. Like, does she have student loan debt? Does she have a real job? And by real job, I don't mean she has to be a nuclear physicist. I mean, like, does she work a real job, or is she working for government, nonprofits, corporate, or communist America type of employment? Where's your dad? Heck, we did. I even got a test here. There's a 20-point question. The Clary relationship test. Remember, we used to do those a couple of years back. We got to bring that back. Yeah, send me. I'll, if you want, email me at aholeconsulting.com. And we can always do the Clary relationship test. Fred Freeman, solid $2. Number of sex partners as risk factor for marriage. Yeah, that's true. There's a study done on that, if you believe the study. And it showed that the percent chance of being happily married or successfully married or just married goes down exponentially given the number of partners you have. Fred Freeman Saul, $2. Set my filter down to 18 in a college town. Matches. 18, man. That's just painful. Like, oh. Did you play with your Legos today? Good. Oh, is that what they said on TikTok? Oh, wonderful. One is good. One is good. One is good. One is good. All right. Thanks, guys. Broderick Black, $2. The creatures only want us for the death of us. I would say a fair amount of them just want your money. I would say there's that too. Nachama, $10. The vast majority of women I know who are single do want men, but knowing how to establish and maintain a healthy symbiotic relationship is much less available knowledge. Therein lies the rub. Okay, so they're in that gray area. The policy is I want a man. I like men. But, and he'll come forth. I'm serious. You cannot, male, female, doesn't it? You cannot fall in love until you love that person more than yourself. That's the only way it works. You put that person ahead of you. The only way it works. But I see you say, well, he kind of comes behind my religion. Too bad. Go marry God. Go marry Jesus. Okay? I think we're caught up. Journey Trials and Joy, $5. About 400,000 people are born every day and over 1 million die in a day. Think at this rate we will see reduction in population. No, the U.S. is increasing in population because of immigration. So the native population is dying off. The immigrant population is coming here, which should kind of concern immigrants if like twice the amount of people are dying that are being born. Like, hey, maybe this ain't such magic dirt after all. Fred Freeman Saul, $5. My arguments for Christian girls are fewer sex partners, divine, telling her to find a man less so. That's if they believe it, Fred. That's the problem. Only 5% of religious people in general are genuine. Most other people, the ulterior motive is to use it for ulterior purposes. Financial, finding dates. It's not to actually be religious. Maybe you just have better luck than me dating religious girls. I would always take secular girls over religious ones. Always. Because at least the secular girls were honest at that one level. Fawn. $5 Canadian. Modern life dating has really helped me understand women more. Good. Mike W, $2. She's an architect, close with dad, not with mom. I don't think you should get married at all. It's just not worth it. You know, date a little bit more and find out. Journey Trials and Joy. Oh, we already got that one. Fred Freeman Solo, $5. I'll never get over my dog telling me her female friends getting too many matches, an equivalent problem to guys not getting any matches on apps. Never get over my dog telling me her female friends getting too many matches, an equivalent not getting a match. I guess it sucks to be guys. It's the data that I pulled up here on online dating, the number of comments or swipes girls get, and then the percent that actually result in the real world. Guys, just for that alone, go get this book. I think that's linked down below. All right, we caught up. That it? No, Wisconsin Nomad. Got to let your man have some freedom or it never works. Yeah. All right, that's it. Okay, questions, answers. AOLconsulting.com. More on the way. See you guys later. Toodles.